Greetings and bienvenue, MITZU. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
I saw something in my house once, or rather where I lived at that time. Never been back there for obvious reasons. Had to get cleared by like 2 doctors and a priest afterwards. So I walk into my living room, right? I walk on through it and get my keys and come back because my living room links my bedroom to my kitchen. The house was unbelievably quiet. It's what I noticed first, and it's the bad kind of quiet. When I got to the living room door, I saw this figure in the corner of the room. It was just standing there, and I guess it was facing the corner, or maybe facing me. I couldn't really tell. This thing was like some sort of dead zone. It was like a light absorber and was super dark, but I could vaguely make out the shape of a head. Not really much of a neck or chin, but it had shoulders. I don't remember seeing arms or hands, though. It was too dark at its feet to see legs, and what scared the living shit out of me was I almost missed it coming back through. It was between a 5-foot dresser and a china cabinet that are on either wall. It was between them in the corner. Then it swelled up a little, and the lights in the room blew out. I just made out its shape sliding under the china cabinet right before I dove out the window that was like 5 feet from me. Tore the blinds up and cut me up pretty bad. But I ran to my car and floored it the hell out of there. Had movers come get my shit and burned the china cabinet. Had to pay the landlord for the window. The doctor said it wasn't normal and could have been stress or something, but not sure. I got no signs of the loonies, and my family had no history of it. The priest told me that it may have been an attempted possession by something horrible, and that I should have the house blessed. I just never went back and told the landlord to burn the fucker down instead. Talked to a medium once. He said it could have been many things, from a shadow person to a demon, to some sort of extra-dimensional being. But to better describe the thing, imagine a person of average size, sunk into the floor up to about their knees, and the floor is almost like a pit of darkness that they are. I don't know if it was rising from it or what. They are sort of looking down, like they are checking their shoelaces. The type of dark wasn't a, oh, turn on a light, it's dark in here kind. It was more like the thing was sucking the color out of the room, and everything was almost grayscale now, and half the light in the room was being sucked out. That kind of dark. And it was night out, so the only light was coming from the chandelier, which had like 10 bulbs in it, and was about a foot across, and there was a small lamp by the couch. There was no sound. It was like the house wouldn't even creak if you hit it with a sledgehammer. And there is a highway like 50 yards out the front door, so that's not normal either. It was almost like a bad dream, where nothing makes sense, and you're just before waking up, when what you perceive as reality starts breaking down. It didn't stop until I was outside and running to my car. I could just hear again all of a sudden, and my car looked normal inside. I was losing my shit all night after that. It made me realize that after all those horror movies where I said, I'd never be that stupid, I'd just leave. Where the fuck do you go? Can that thing follow you? Is it in the car right now? I lost my shit and just went to a hospital. They admitted me for a few days until I calmed down and talked to a therapist. They still don't know what would have caused it. No history of drugs or mental illness. To this day, I think it was almost definitely supernatural. I just don't know what the hell it was, but I'd rather not find out. Apparently people live there now, and aside from the odd noises, they haven't seen anything. Lucky bastards, I guess.
Hey Anon. I've had a few experiences over the years at my past house with what I always described as shadow people. Your description is similar. Based solely on my experiences, they liked negative energy. They carried a really ominous, malevolent aura. I could typically sense them before I saw them. I would sense them quite often, but only saw them twice. They appeared as a darker than the surrounding dark. Faint, ill-defined silhouettes that just gave the appearance of a human form. I don't recall any specifics about the sound of the environment for the first encounter, but the second time around there was a lot of noise. Nothing loud, just soft white noise, almost sounded like voices on the wind. Was weird shit. I wasn't fond of those things.
I went night fishing in the Gulf of Mexico when I was 21. Since it can be hard to see the bobber, I put a bell on it. There was some splashing, so I figured fish were jumping in this one spot about 100 feet off the dock. It kept blooping around till I got close, so I cast off. I had a sinking lure, but I didn't get any bites, so I reeled in and adjusted the bobber. As I was doing that, there was more blooping. I recast and felt the hook and lure hit the sea floor, and waves hit my boat and rocked it just a bit. So I was too low to catch anything, and I reeled back in. Keep in mind, at this point I had no bites. But I had a ton of tension on the line, and as soon as I stopped reeling, I got a lot more. So I had to keep reeling and reeling and reeling in. Eventually I got it back to the boat, and it was a rope, about an inch thick. Started pulling it in and kept pulling for like 10 minutes until there was a wound-up pile of rope in my boat, the size of a couple of basketballs. And finally, there was just this mass. Holding the rope, I lifted it up and heard metal clank, and the mass sort of shuddered. I realized it was something clinging to an anchor, but it was super goddamn slippery, so it splashed back into the water. It was covered in this slimy shit, like what hagfish give off. It looked like something broke off a bunch of conch shells and put the mollusks inside on the anchor. Like, the whole mass looked like a bunch of coiled up veins and teeth, like pick-related, without the shell multiplied over and over, with a fish mouth or two stretched out and clinging to the whole anchor except the top and part of the side. I thought it was sea trash and the remains of a meal something had, so I pulled it back up and pushed at it with a pole, and the whole thing sloughed off in one mass and swam down into the ocean like a stingray. I swear to God, the eyes were looking at me. It was probably a weird fucking anemone or some shit, but goddamn, spooked me the hell out.
I remember something from my childhood. Be me. Wake up in the middle of the night. Hear something knock on my bedroom window. My bedroom was on the second floor, overlooking a dense forest. See a man with the head of a cow waving at me. Strangely enough, I waved back. I didn't even get scared at all. I remember going back to sleep after that, not entirely sure if it was a dream or not. Fast forward to the next night. Wake up. Same shit. Cow dude waving at me. Waved back and went back to sleep. This goes on for a few weeks, or I don't know, days maybe, until it tried to talk to me. My memory of it is kinda hazy. Cow dude keeps talking to me nonstop until I fall asleep. Next night, hear knocking on the window again. It's cow dude. Starts talking to me again. Start feeling sleepy, but then my dad walked into my room with my grandfather. My grandpa was holding his hunting rifle. I remember my dad seeing cow dude and losing his shit. Grandpa seemed calm, as if he expected seeing a man cow. Remember cow dude screaming at my dad in the deepest voice ever heard. It's like a mix between a cow howling and a heavy metal dude growling into a mic. Dad runs to the window. Cow dude bolts. Grandpa rushes to the window, opens it, and fires into the forest. Heard something wailing. Dad picks me up and brings me to their room. Saw my mom crying. She hugs me. Slept there until I was maybe 10. Never really questioned it. I thought it was just something that was never meant to be talked about ever again.
Be me. Be visiting a museum in my city. Broad daylight. Old building. at least 200 years old. Was an office building during Dutch colonial times. Was a prison during Japanese occupation. It was pretty crowded that day. Seeing and photographing artifacts and paintings, a typical museum visit. Walking through a long and tall hallway or corridor. My what the hell is going on sense is tingling. Realized everyone vanished. Only me. Nothing. Nobody. Not even any sounds like chatting or ambient sounds. Suddenly I heard women crying and footsteps like boots. On the far side of the hallway, suddenly a black shadow popped up on the floor, like someone is present there. The footstep sound comes nearer, like it's approaching me. Suddenly a shadowy figure passed in front of me. I recognized the outfit as a Japanese army uniform. History nerd here. My face when a ghost of a Japanese officer suddenly passes in front of me. My face when he has sinister-looking eyes, vengeful or sadistic nature. I immediately run outside. I puked. My face when suddenly everyone is present again. Visitors and guides, even in the hallway where I met the Japanese ghost. My face when I was thinking that I warped into another reality for some minutes and met the damn Japanese ghost. And it happened in broad daylight, full of visitors.
Alright, here's the crude story of the most direct paranormal encounter of my life. There's been stuff like objects moving, or I did a ritual for money and won a $100 prize the next day and shit like that. But this is the only... There's something too spooky for me right there in front of me, and there's no way I'm dreaming or tripping balls event. Be me. Be like 16. Parents' jobs have them working out of state for a week or so at a time. Be home alone at like 1:30 a.m. It's summer, so I've been playing WoW late the whole time. Need to take a shit. Don't bother closing the door because who cares? It's not like anyone else is here. The house is closed up because it's a desolate shithole that is Southern California, and it's still 90 degrees outside. There's a floor fan blowing down the hallway that my room and the bathroom are on. Sudden burst of air pressure, like getting smacked by a rifle shockwave. Look to the bathroom door. There's a roundish mass of smoke just floating there, sorta like pick-related, only that gray-blue color that vape smoke is. The thing stares me down for a solid minute. I blink, double take, expecting the classic ghost story of and then it was just gone. Nope. It floats there, sorta coiling, but the smoke isn't moving from the fan. I decide, fuck it. I'm going to touch the ghost. Hobble off the toilet, reach out to poke the spooky thing. Tendrils of smoke feel really cold and sorta dusty. The thing does not like being touched. The smoke pulls away from my hand and whooshes down the hall past the fan and vanishes. Finish taking a shit, wondering what the actual fuck just happened.
Was probably just me being a hyper-imaginative and cryptozoologically obsessed kid, but the image is still strong in my mind. I had been hanging around in the woods near a park in my hometown and headed home at about 11 p.m. to midnight. Maybe 2/3 of the way from the park to my house, I saw a large, pale pink cat down the alley that stood maybe 3 feet high and seemed to have faintly glowing red eyes and a really dense, flowing mane. More like a horse than a lion, because I remember it wasn't all the way around the neck, just a tuft of hair straight up down its back. Looked at it, tried to figure out what the fuck I was witnessing for a second or two, looked it in the eyes for an instant, and booked it as fast as I could without looking back, because that's the spookiest thing that has happened to me to this day. Again, most likely just childhood wackiness, or just an albino big cat. Non-albinos were rare around there anyhow, but the chance exists, I suppose. But whatever. First time ever writing this out in like 10 years.
Be me, 11 or 12. House sitting for my cousin. Bought a new toy shotgun in town that day while me and my mom went antiquing. Grandparents' hobby. You can find neat stuff. Playing around with it while my mom naps on the couch. The house was set up like pick-related, so when this happened, I got a nice view of the doorway, and whatever it was that ran by, I assume it was a ghost, but it seemed to be very much present and opaque, so it could have been something uber paranormal. Standing in front of the doorway to the hallway. Uh-oh. The gun got shot out of my hands. Drop it and bend over to pick it up. Grab the gun and raise back up just in time to see, not kidding, a nearly 7-foot being, completely bald, gray, thin, lanky limbs, completely naked. It runs past the doorway. Didn't get a great look at its face, but I remember it having white dots in the general area of its eyes. I stand there for a solid minute or two, not daring to move or make a sound. I was terrified of creatures as a kid, but more so afraid of provoking them, hence why I stood still. Didn't want to make it upset at me or something. Finally turn, run to my mom, wake her up, and tell her about what happened. She's into paranormal shit, so she believes me and hugs me for a while. More spooky shit happened in that house after we moved in, and I saw a, for sure, ghost. I can tell it if anyone wants, but it's not as spooky as the lanky running creature. Now, it's nowhere on the scale of the running ghoul, but it's stuff to make you think. Be 13 now. Mom and me are living in the house. Dad got a flag that was flown in an AC-130 fire mission over some Middle Eastern country for his service in the Marines. She keeps it in a special box due to its importance, keeps it in her room, typically on top of her dresser. One day she's looking for something and tells me to go check her room while she looks around elsewhere. I go into her room and do a quick walk around. Just looking for whatever it was. Can't remember, just something small. Walk over to her dresser and slide the flag box back. Since it's on top of one of those sort of weighty wood or glass boxes that serves as a chessboard with glass pieces, I have to move that back too. Notice, I push it further away from the edge, looking for the item. Don't find it. Don't rearrange shit. It's fine how it is. Did you find it, Anon? Nope, but you can look for yourself if you want. I had a tendency to graze over stuff when I was looking for something. I'd typically get my mom to go back in and look for something if I wasn't sure I had actually missed it. Mom nods and walks off to her room. I go onto the couch and start watching videos on my computer. A couple minutes later, Anon, come here. I was hoping that she found it, but her tone of voice said otherwise. Walk into the room. I see it before she even says anything. The weighty game box and the flag box are on the floor in front of the dresser. Both boxes neatly organized on top of each other. An audible "oh" escapes my mouth. Mom laughs it off. Again, she's into spooky shit. I just stare at it for a while. Don't even think about touching that shit. She still has the flag to this day. More. Be me. Laying on the couch late at night, watching spooky ghost shows 'cause shit, why not? Feeling at the back of my mind like I should be uneasy. Feeling grows stronger and stronger. Now I'm starting to feel uneasy. I'm never fazed by these ghost shows. Mom desensitized me to them, just laughing at the stupid shit Zach Bagans or whatever his name is doing just to ease tension. Suddenly, literally out of nowhere, panic. I feel like I need to get out right then and there, pull the blanket over my head and shut my eyes tight. Even as a 13-year-old, I had a fear of the dark. The fact that me and my mom believed the house was haunted, it fucking was if you couldn't tell, made it tenfold worse. literally shaking at this point. There's something in the room, just curled up under this blanket for a while, probably around 10 to 20 minutes of just burning fear. Finally, get enough courage to peek, maybe even find a way to run to Mom's room and get her to wake up. Pull the covers down just past my eyes. All sound, TV and ambient noise, cuts out except for this deep, airy, whirring sound, like I'm standing at the entrance of a wind tunnel. An old man, elderly, is looming above me. Can't make out significant features since the TV is silhouetting him over me, but I can see the wrinkles on the outside of his face. His arms are either by his side or tucked into his pockets. Couldn't quite tell. I tear the covers back over my head and hide like that for another 30 minutes while crying. I should point out I'm guesstimating on a lot of the time, but every time I hid, it felt like forever. The sound comes back once the cover comes over my eyes. After a while, I bolt out from the couch to catch him off guard and tear ass to my mom's room. End up sleeping in her bed. I was too fucking scared to sleep back out there with the old man.
Well, I've had experiences many would call paranormal, but I can usually rationalize the events and find some sort of logical explanation. This is one of the few times I can't. I remember that I had been lurking on some forum around 2 a.m. when I went to the kitchen to get some coffee. After filling up a kettle and waiting for it to finish heating the water, I looked up past our kitchen bar and saw what I can only describe as a white or light version of a shadow person. It was definitely humanoid, around 6 feet tall, had an odd shimmer, and no visible facial details. The moment I saw it, I just froze up. Any thoughts I had vanished as I just stared at it. After what felt like seconds, the thing vanished, lightly tugging things towards it, causing some things to fall or move. That was when I snapped out of my trance and noticed that the kettle was whistling. I found out the kettle was nearly empty. It normally took a few minutes to heat up, plus the time it took for the water to boil away. I guess I was staring at the thing for at least 15 minutes. It was an odd event, to say the least. Unfortunately, I haven't seen the thing since.
Since I was a child, I've been haunted by a cloaked shadow figure. It began with him appearing in a corner of my bedroom when he would walk from corner to corner each night. Eventually, stuff would get flung off shelves and doorknobs would jiggle. My extremely religious parents took notice and asked the church to bless the house. It appeared to work because for the rest of my time living at home, he didn't appear again. Fast forward to when I moved out on my own. Shortly after the move, I would awake to a horrible smell in my apartment, and I would find my belongings scattered across my living room floor the morning after. Doorknobs began to jiggle. Items would be flung off shelves, and then he began appearing in the corner of my room again. I remember one time I woke to a knock at my bedroom door, and when I turned on my light, the door began bowing inwards as if there was a giant leaning against it from the other side. My friends started seeing him too. It got to the point where they refused to come over, and my relationships were strained because of him. Fast forward again to a few years ago, and I'm moving out with my then future wife. She knew all about him and, with her also being religious, said prayers to keep him in my old apartment. We moved in together and married. Soon we became distant with each other. I had a dream one night that we got into a car accident. I'm pulled from the car, where I can see my wife bleeding to death from a huge wound on her abdomen. The man who saved me said there was nothing to be done, and he's going to get me to safety. We arrive at a weird ancient Greek council hall, and he tells me to wait there while he gets help. I'm surrounded by people in white robes. I feel a hand on my shoulder, and I see the black cloaked shadow when I turn to investigate. I'm too afraid to yell. He then proceeds to slit the throat of every person there. Then, in the same voice as the man who saved me, he says something like, "See, they're all going to leave you in the end. I'm all you got, and the sooner you accept that, the sooner life will be easier." I look down, and the faces of the people he killed morph into the faces of my family, my friends, and my exes. I look back at him, and I finally see the bottom half of his face. He has what appeared to be red face paint on his jawline in a jagged zigzag pattern going up to his lips. He repeats, "I'm all you got," and I wake up. I tell my wife, and she tells me he's trying to wedge himself between myself and the people I love, and to realize with God, I'm stronger than he is. She asks for a divorce a few months later. I move out but still keep in contact. Come to find out she was pregnant, so I desperately try to fix things with her. She gets into a car accident a few months after we found out, which resulted in the miscarriage of our unborn child. I was broken. Hell, I still am. I became angry with her that she would leave me. Then I had another dream where I was in a cellar of some sort, stone floor and walls, and it was dark. He appeared to me again with his jagged red glowing bright on his jaw. He repeated that everyone will leave me, but he'll always be there, and to accept it. I remember feeling defeated, like he was telling me, "I told you so." He then presented a tall glass jar radiating pink light. He told me he could make her know my misery. I don't remember what I said or if he mentioned a price, but he handed me the jar. As I opened it, the light flooded the room and acted as paint on the walls. It was beautiful, honestly. Then the paint turned into black flames, and I woke up. He's appeared in a couple of dreams after, always repeating, "I'm all you got." And I haven't spoken with my ex-wife, but I feel like something bad will happen if it hasn't already. And I'm sure I haven't seen the last of him.
I'll bite with a story from about 5 years ago when I was 20 in rural Wales. I'm shit at Greentext, so just deal with it. Live in a small village, me and a mate driving home at sunset. House on the outskirts of the village, so have to drive through the main center, then hit a bit of farming land. It's a Sunday evening. No other cars on the road, dead fox in the road as we pass a gate, not uncommon. It's gonna skank up the road if we drive over it, single track road. Mate stops the car. I get out to kick it into the hedgerow. Huge gash marks across its face. Looks like it's been clawed to fuck, but it hasn't been eaten. Think nothing of it. Probably some territorial shit or badgers. Those fuckers are violent. Booted a couple of times so it slides into a ditch and go back to the car. Sun has set now, so only about 10 minutes of light left and shadows are creeping. Keep driving and only get around one corner when there are 2 more foxes in the road. The fuck? What is this? Some fox gangland killing? They are already off the road, so fuck it and drive past. Looking out the window at the gates into fields as we drive. Field of sheep, field of sheep, field of sheep. Black mass of muscle and hair, field of sheep. The fuck was that? Mate slams on the brakes. We wait in silence, looking in the mirrors, staring at the road where the entrance to that field was. Do we go back? Fuck yeah, we do. As soon as we've even thought it, this creature leaps like a cat over the gate, using its hind legs for extra lift as it hits the top of the bar. It's much bigger than a dog but moves like a cat, and it's jet black. It walks across the road and disappears into the shadows leading towards Woodland. No thank you. Home we go. Hear the fucking terrifying cry of foxes fighting all night. Read about tons of sheep and other animals being slaughtered that weekend. Definitely that big animal we saw did that shit. Pretty sure I saw it again a few years later. The second time I saw it. Been having a few drinks at mine, getting hungry though, so we decide to walk into the village and to the other side to get some food from the petrol station as it's open late. This was a few years before we got streetlights in certain parts, so it's pitch fucking black, and we are using torches until we get to the village. 10-minute walk to the village, another 10 to the petrol station, a couple of cars on the road. People driving home from the town, where all the young'uns go out drinking, otherwise uneventful. Get to the street lights, turn off our torches and walk through. It's about 11:45 now, and the petrol station closes at 12. Better make this quick. See the station ahead of us down the hill. Carry on walking and chatting. This fucking animal bounds out of some housing road at Mach 10. We can only see it when it hits streetlights, but it's about 4.5 feet tall on all fours, and it's quick as fuck on the other side of the road from us. We just stand there watching it as it sprints up the hill we just came down. We pass it off as some farmer's dog having escaped or something, as we didn't get a proper look at it. But we joke about it being that big cat we saw a few years back. As soon as it was out of view, we just said, "What the fuck?" and carried on walking. The station was closing, so we get some super cheap sandwiches going out of date. Fuck yeah, good haul. Even have a chat with a German guy who lives in the village who does cheap taxi runs into town as he fills up his car. Have had some good stories from him, might get around to them later. Decide instead of eating back at the house to just go to the village park and sit on some benches. It's closer to my mate's house, so after that we can head our separate ways. The park is an open football field, unlit, with the backs of houses at the north end, a disused bakery to the east, and to the south, the field dips down into heavy woods which are creepy as fuck. We sit on a park bench next to a pretty shitty football clubhouse near the bakery and proceed to fucking demolish these sandwiches, just chatting shit and having a laugh. Mate keeps glancing to the woods. I shrug it off as him being a dick. The woods look practically black against the field. Then I see it too. The black mass fucking zigzagging in front of the woods about 80 meters away from us. Running left and right along the woodline. The fuck is that? Mate is backing up at this point toward the park entrance. The mass disappears at this point, and we both freeze as we hear that sound of foxes fighting, like children crying. It's creepy as hell. Fuck this, we decide, turn out our torches and grab the rest of our haul. It's at this point the fox noise stops, which is even worse as there's nothing now, and our eyes have adjusted slightly to the torches. I shine mine down the field, and it hits about 60 meters. It glints on cat-like eyes in the darkness. And this animal launches itself towards us. No fucking thank you. We drop all our haul and sprint the fuck out of there, looking back only once to see it already at the bench and hearing it tear through the bags and food we left there. Have never seen it since, but every now and then farmers talk about finding fucked up carcasses, and I still freeze every time I hear foxes.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more green texts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.